Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a fabulous day. We're going to think back to our recent science lesson where we were talking about the total amount of water on Earth, and then each portion of water on Earth, such as the ice caps and glaciers, the total oceans and saltwater lakes, and how much of the total water they represented. In our chart, we had to multiply a decimal by 100 in order to figure out the percentage of the total water that specific category was representing. So in order to do that, Mrs. Tuman and I chatted, and I thought you had maybe done some of this. Oh, you've done multiplying, but not multiplying decimals. So I know you know how to multiply by hand, but you haven't done it with a decimal. So right now we can ignore the decimal. So we'll go 0 times 2 is 0, 0 times 7, 0, 0 times 9, 0. We need our placeholder 0. 0 times 2, 0, 0 times 7, 0, 0 times 9, 0. Now we need 2 placeholder zeros, right? Because each time I'm not going to go into that part, but mathematically, they're not just a placeholder. It's because of how the math works, but I think I'm not going to go into that this time. So then we go to that third row. 1 times 2, 2. 1 times 7, 7. 1 times 9, 9. And notice how I'm lining up the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and the 10,000s. That's really important. Now I add them up. And then the only thing you really need to know when you're multiplying by a decimal is the first thing is ignore it and multiply as normal. And then when you're all done, you're going to count how many digits are behind the decimal. So we have 1, 2, 3 digits behind the decimal. So I'm going to start out here on the right side, and I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 swoops in and place my decimal. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You move the decimal over for every digit that is behind a decimal. So that means that my answer becomes 97 2/10%. So that is how you multiply decimals, but there's also the trick of when you're multiplying by powers of 10, okay? If there's 2 zeros, you can swoop and move the decimal 2 spaces. This only works for powers of 10, right? 10, 100, 1000. So if you move it over, you got your 97.2%. If I had some other number, okay, and I'm multiplying by 10, how many zeros are there? 1. So I only get to move it one place to the right. And that means that my total is 57.2. We're not doing percents. That's just another example. If I had 789 and 5/10 times 1,000, okay? 1, 2, 3 zeros in the number. So I'm going to go, let me take another color here. 1, 2, 3 times to the right. Well, what do I do with those empty areas? You got it. I'm gonna annex a 0 there, okay? So then my number turns into, because I have to move the decimal, I get to copy the digits 7, 8, 9, 5, 0, 0. Now I have a decimal. And then I can place my comma in the correct place values. So that is a very short, quick lesson on how to multiply decimals and specifically how to multiply by powers of 10. Okay? Powers of 10 have a mathematical shortcut. If you did it by hand, it will still work out to be the same. Notice down here, we ended up with 97 and 2/10, and even up there we ended up with 97 and 2/10. So powers of 10, you can do the shortcut. You move the decimal over to the right as many zeros as are in the number that you're multiplying by. But that only works for that piece. Otherwise, you're going to multiply by normal. You're going to count how many digits are behind the decimal and move it in. So I want to do one more super quick, different color problem that has a decimal in both numbers, okay? So let's go 15.2 times 9.7, okay? So I have two decimals that I'm multiplying together, and they're not a power of 10. So I have to do this the regular way, the standard algorithm. 2 times 7 is 14, right? Regroup. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 1 is 36. Regroup. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 is 10. Right now I'm still ignoring the decimals because we'll only deal with them at the end. Otherwise, we look at this like a regular multiplication problem. I need my placeholder 0. Now I'm going to be multiplying those numbers. So 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 1 is 46. And 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13. Add them up. And then I'm going to count how many digits are behind a decimal. 1, 2. Start at the end and move in towards the left. 1, 2. My number then becomes 147 and 44 hundredths. Okay? Great job. Thanks for listening.